Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Political Vigilante. I am Graham Elwood. I want to welcome anybody who just saw me on Aggressive Progressive with Jimmy Dore. It was first time on that show. Jimmy's a longtime friend of mine. It was great to be on that show. And first time on any sort of Young Turks thing, which is really cool. They have a fantastic facility. So if you're joining me for the first time, welcome. And this is, today I want to talk about, the Republicans have been trying to get rid of Obamacare, and they just introduced the Republican Obamacare, basically. I'll just give you my little personal background on it. It's since I signed up for Obamacare a couple years ago, it's been saving me about $3,000 a year. I know some people don't like it. I know it's cost other people more money, but that's just my personal experience. So as a guy that's self-employed and has to pay for all of his own everything, it's helped me immensely. I get Anthem Blue Cross. I was paying $459 some a month for it. And then basically the same coverage through Anthem Blue Cross is about $138, $139 a month for me. So that part of Obamacare, I like. I know it's not perfect, but it's basically helping me. And I know this is the richest country in the history of the world, so we could have affordable health care. We could have free health care for everybody if we really wanted it. So what happened is, and I'm actually going to show, there's a clip of it. I'm reading something from the Huffington Post. Paul Ryan suggests new health care bills, tax cut for the wealthy is no big deal. And they're talking about an interview he did with Tucker Carlson earlier today. And I'm going to flip my laptop around. This is my high tech showing video clips, but I want you to see, because basically and I talked about this on a previous episode, the Republican version of Obamacare is giving tax breaks to the wealthiest like 0.1%. And Paul Ryan's response is fantastic. He's just like, well, I'm not that concerned with it. He just doesn't care. They can't just come up with a good plan. It could be so easy to come up with a plan if you actually wanted to help people versus profit from this and screw people over. Because they said we were going to replace Obamacare, and then all those town hall meetings blew up with all these people going, what is your solution? A lot of people realizing, I benefit or I get Medicaid or whatever. And again, Obamacare is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but they've had no real, and there's been a fight internally within the Republican Party over what the solution is and how to handle it. So this is, I want to play this for you and show you.
Okay, so let's get to the tax policy. So as I understand it, and I'm just reading this, so I may have it wrong, but there's an investment tax in here, the net investment income tax. And as far as I know, it only kicks in on couples making over $250,000 a year. So it's a tax on wealthy investors, and you're eliminating it. In a health
3.8% tax. Yeah,
that's exactly right. So I guess my question is, looking at the last election, was the message of that election really, we need to help investors? I mean, the Dow is over 20,000. Are they really the group that needs the help?
This was a tax on capital income, which is bad for economic growth. It's basically a capital gains tax increase, effectively, to finance Obamacare. We're undoing Obamacare, so we're not going to keep Obamacare taxes in place. So all of these taxes, $1 trillion tax cut that this bill represents, that is part of that $1 trillion tax increase that was in Obamacare to finance Obamacare.
No, I know, but
we're repealing. No, but we promised we would repeal the Obamacare taxes. This is one of the Obamacare taxes, so we're keeping our promise. And by the way, it's bad tax policy because it's bad for economic growth, and we're also repealing the Obamacare spending. So we're getting rid of its taxing, and we're getting rid of its spending, and this is us keeping our word. You may want to keep that 3.8% tax. We're not going to keep it because it was part of Obamacare.
Well, but lots of things are part of Obamacare that you just said a minute ago you're not doing anything about because you can't under
only
reconciliation.
Because of reconciliation.
You don't have to meet, that's right, but you just said that you don't have to meet every promise in this first round.
That's
and
right.
Yet, I guess it's a macro
but fiscal
question.
Policy we can be, but tax and spending policy we can, so that's
I'm
what
aware.
we're doing.
But also, I mean, you have the overview here is that all the wealth basically in the last 10 years is stuck to the top end. That's one of the reasons we've had all this political turmoil, as you know. And so kind of a hard sell to say, yeah, we're going to repeal Obamacare, but we're going to send more money to the people who've already gotten the richest over the last 10 years. I mean, that's what this does, no? I'm not a leftist. It's just that's true.
I'm not that concerned about it because we said we were going to repeal all the Obamacare taxes.
I'm not that concerned about it. I don't care if a bunch of money goes to the rich. It's not my problem. I'm rich. I'm part of the problem. I don't give a shit. That's what he doesn't, I'm not that concerned with it. He just goes on to say, and I'll play the rest of it. He goes on to just say that, well, we said we were going to change Obamacare, so we're doing it. So that's them like, patting themselves on the back going, oh, it's a campaign promise. We're keeping a campaign promise. How is he draining the swamp? How is Trump draining the swamp? This is like, and again, Obama had a Democratic-controlled House, Senate, and the White House when Obama was in office, and they still buckled to pharmaceutical companies and the insurance lobby. They still buckled to a lot of it. The Democrats had all this control back in 2010 when they were doing this. They had all this control, and they could have passed this amazing legislation that no one would want to get rid of. But this is what happens when the Democrats, they kind of do something. Everything's just sort of this like, Band-Aid or this just, gesture. It's not a real, it's not a real thing. Let's hear more about what Dead-Eyed Paul Ryan has to say.
Taxes. The other point I'd say is this dramatically helps us toward tax reform. I know it gets a little wonky, but by getting rid of the Obamacare taxes, the next bill coming up this spring and summer is tax reform. And that means the new tax code that we're proposing, we put this in our Better Way plan too. It's a part of our blueprint. Go online and read that as well. That will not have to overcome those Obamacare taxes, meaning when we have a new replacement tax code to gut and replace this tax code, it won't have to also replace the Obamacare taxes. So by getting rid of all these taxes, we're lowering the revenue that is taken out of the American economy, out of families, out of businesses for the government, and we think that's really important.
So tell me, the individual mandate was the thing that most people dislike the most, I think, about Obamacare.
Right.
And I just want to make sure I understand this. So that's gone, but there's going to be a cost for late enrollment, and it's going to be, if I'm reading this right, 30% surcharge on the annual premium. So if a plan costs, say, $5,000 a year, that means you have to pay this an extra $1,500 a year to pay the penalty.
Yeah, so let me explain why that is.
So why wouldn't I just wait till I get sick to buy insurance?
No,
how is that going to work?
That's the point. That's why we're tightening the enrollment period. We're having continuous coverage, and that's why Tom Price already put out a regulation saying we're not going to have an open enrollment period for a year. One of the reasons why Obamacare is collapsing and it's crashing and its prices are so high is because they had an open enrollment plan time for a year, which is exactly what you're saying is what is happening now. What we're trying to do is prevent that from happening so we can drop the price of health insurance.
Wait a minute. If I have to pay an extra 30%, how is you dropping the price of insurance? I don't get this at all. It just sounds like double talk. And even Tucker Carlson's face, his face is like this throughout this whole interview. Tucker Carlson on Fox News is like, wait, what? What does that tell you? They didn't have a real solution because they didn't think, they were still drunk on the, oh my God, we won. Trump basically blew through the Republican Party. He decimated the Republican Party. Jeb Bush was people rejected him. They rejected all these other diehard Republicans, these sort of part of the Republican infrastructure, and they just blew him away for Trump. Trump just said, no. And so they thought, they all hitched their wagons to Trump. A lot of these, some of these guys are like, Trump, and because they didn't think Trump was going to win. When he won, they're like, oh my God, this is great. And so they were just like, we're getting rid of Obamacare. And then a bunch of people went, well, but I'm actually getting some benefits from it, from Medicaid or whatever. So what's your solution? And they didn't have one. And now they're just sort of patching this crap together. So this is just unbelievable. Pay close attention to what it is. And it still goes back to if we had a real liberal progressive party, we would have amazing health insurance and no one would want to get rid of it. But it's, I mean, you can go after Trump and he does a lot of awful crap, but the Democrats for the last 30 years have let this shit happen. They let this shit happen. And then Bernie Sanders runs and they crush him. He was like, well, I want to get free health care for everybody. And he could have gotten in office and shown how we're going to do it. So now we got to listen to these jackasses. Look at this mope. Look at this dead-eyed mope. And then this guy's like, what? Ugh. Thanks for watching, you guys. Help support the show. Like it. Hit the subscribe button. There's a link to my Patreon. If you start subscribing to Patreon for as little as $1 a month, you can help this show grow and we can do more stuff, and I don't have to turn my laptop around. But this is the first video we've ever added to the show, so this is fancy, huh? And I want to do more stuff, turn it into, I'm recording the audio on this, but I need money to help, produce and edit it as an audio podcast. I want to release it as an audio podcast. I want to do more stuff, more equipment, interviews, all bunch of stuff I want to do, and I can't do it without you guys helping. So thank you so much. Spread the word. Thank you for watching The Political Vigilante. My name is Graham Elwood.